Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to the Radical Edge of HR. I'm Tanya Hawley. I have the pleasure of being your host today, and we're so excited to be here with you once again. And again, I am with HR Knowledge Source, and we are celebrating our 10th year anniversary, a decade of greatness. And so we are again bringing you the experts on our topic today, which is the power of empowering your employees. Let me say that again, the power of empowering your employees. And of course, we've got the expert, which is Mr. Cori Briggs, who is a regional sales director with ADP. Welcome, Corey.
Thank you so much for having me. I greatly appreciate it, Tanya, especially as you all celebrate a decade. Did I hear you correctly?
That's
So
right, 10 years.
outstanding, outstanding. So happy 10th year anniversary to HR Knowledge Source. And I
Thank
couldn't
you.
be more than honored to be able to share the space with you all. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Corey, for being here. And so, Corey, before we dive into our topic, can you just tell everyone just a little bit about yourself, please?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So, as you said, I'm currently a regional sales executive with ADP. I've been working with ADP probably the last going on 3 years now. It's crazy how fast time flies. Believe it or not, I actually started my career professionally with a pretty small rental car company. I'm not sure if anybody's ever heard of Enterprise, but I started working with them right out of school. Nobody goes to school to say they want to rent cars for a living, but I will say that it found me. But I was truly fortunate for the situation because if it taught me anything, it was truly the power of people and where that makes a difference in anyone's
Mm,
business, whether you're in leadership and or just simply seeking out clients and customers. So I've been fortunate enough to be able to leverage that experience to what I'm able to do currently with ADP. Big family guy. I'm married. I have a daughter. And so, yeah, completely enjoy life and something personally. I'm a huge bowler, so I love to bowl. But again, just truly happy to be here and looking forward to our conversation today.
wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. Just a small little company called Enterprise, yeah, who had a very, I was in the airport this weekend for a rental car, and they had between them and another brand, I won't say since you didn't work there, had a very long line. So they're still doing okay. So you probably left your impact on them when you were there. I'm just going to say
A little bit, a little bit. I will say I do not miss those long
that.
lines when they show up like that.
Okay. Well, thank you for that great intro about yourself. And today's topic, the power of empowering. I can't say that word. I'm having a, but my tongue doesn't like to say empowering. But anyway,
That's right.
the power of empowering your employees. I got it that time. So the first thing, can you just talk about partnering with your employees and why that's important and how you do it?
Yeah, I think what you said is the key. Partnering.
Mhm.
To me, from a leadership perspective, I think we can always get caught up in titles and roles and time and position, and we can forget how important it is to truly partner with our employees. Some people may take exception to this, but I would like to believe nobody on a team I've ever worked with has ever said, well, you work for me, or
Mm,
this individual over a particular time has worked for Corey. And I say that because it's employees' wise that have them show up for any job. It's not you.
that's true.
You would like to think so, but it's not because of you. I think as a great leader and finding a way to lead people and truly connect, going back to the word you used, Tanya, partnering with your employees, it really becomes about their why. And so I always like to believe and encourage my teams that I don't believe they work for me, they work for their why. And so in that, we
Mm,
find a way to partner together. And I think it's then my responsibility as a leader to bring out the very best in them, to push
mm,
them towards their why. And
mhm.
again, that's to me is what makes that partnership successful and make that partnership really work.
I love that. Just saying someone is your partner versus someone is working for you. There's a whole thing about just how the word in itself, as you
That's
said,
right.
and how you perceive the relationship, I think.
Of course.
So, yeah.
Of course, I think people take for granted at times the words that we use and the words that they carry. And sometimes they might not even necessarily be the initial use of the word. But I think
Hmm.
over time, right? And when you weave those things into the fabric of your culture, that's how you create culture, right? When people
Right.
understand and
Right.
know, hey, this is an individual that truly believes that they work with me, they're truly in it together for me. And then that's when you start to get people to kind of push past their limits and at times be willing to do things that they ordinarily wouldn't necessarily do for somebody they work for.
Mm, that's so true. Yes, very true. Yeah, how you think differently when you're partnering than with I'm working. That's my boss. I'm working for them. So yeah, I like that. So, what about vulnerability? What does that mean for the partnership?
Wow. I mean, think about it. Any partnership or any relationship needs some level of vulnerability. And it can't be faux vulnerability. It can't be, I'm going to use this strategically to my advantage. People see through
Mm,
that, right? So when it comes down to being genuine, I like to tell my team all the time, right? Like the best way you connect with a person is to be one. And in order to truly uh, be a human and be a person, there's a level of vulnerability that comes into play. And so I think when you can be genuine, you can be honest. I think genuineness and honesty are facets of vulnerability that lead to strengthening what that vulnerability looks like. It allows an individual to open up. And I think as a leader, when you're willing to be vulnerable, it
hmm.
humanizes you. It lets individuals know that you don't feel like you're bigger, or excuse me, your big business cards are bigger than you. And
Oh, I
it
like that part.
allows you to tap into what that why is. Like, I would really like to believe that every individual that I work with knows my why. They know where I'm coming from, and being vulnerable. You have no issue saying, "Hey, you know what, Tanya? Maybe I made a mistake on this one. Maybe I should have done, something differently here. Maybe we should have done it your way." And
Hmm.
in those scenarios, that's only possible with vulnerability. And people can't be afraid of what that looks like.
Now, do you think sometimes people can mistake vulnerability for weakness, or even if you're telling people to be a certain level of vulnerable, um, they may think or be hesitant to do it because they feel that that's showing weakness.
Of course. I think, I mean, if we're going to be very vulnerable and really kind of get to the crux
Hmm.
of the matter, I think based upon someone's upbringing, what kind of experiences did they
Mm-hmm.
have prior to meeting you, right? And that's why I think the emphasis has to be on what drives them personally, what is
Hmm.
their why personally. Because if you're going to really make an impact on an individual's lives, you got to understand them as a person. So, to your point, yeah, definitely people can take it as a weakness. But I think before you lean into certain areas of vulnerability, respect has to be understood. Respect has to be earned, because those are the things that then lead themselves to vulnerability. If I take a step back, even as we're having a conversation, Tanya, I would say that respect and trust lead to vulnerability. And I think if those things are established properly and with a
Hmm.
sound foundation, someone wouldn't look to take advantage of or perceive it as a weakness because of the trust and respect that's established. But I think that goes back to making sure you have clear boundaries, and that's a two-way street. So both for you as a leader and both for that individual as an employee or a member of your team.
And so you mentioned trust. Let's talk about trust for a minute and how important that is. Let's just go a little deeper with that particular word, trust.
Certainly, certainly.
How?
So I think we're putting a puzzle together, Tanya. Like, I think there's
Hmm.
all different pieces of the conversation that we have, and where each puzzle serves its purpose to create a clear picture. So when we talk about partnership, We talk about individuals working together. We talk about, respect,
Mhm.
vulnerability. Uh, Trust is a huge, huge piece of that fabric, right? A huge, huge piece of that puzzle. And I think back to, kind of starting off a new fiscal year, right? We're coming to our first quarter in here at ADP, and start off the new fiscal, establishing a new team. Success hinges on the speed of implementation. So how fast can we get to trust one another?
Mhm.
And I'll
Okay.
tell a person that I work with anytime, Tanya, look, day one, you have my complete trust. Why
Mm.
should I not? We went through this huge hiring process where we courted you, you courted us. We went through this whole vetting process so that we can
Right.
accomplish our goals together, right?
Right.
So, how fast can we implement that trust? How fast can we get to trust so that we could be successful? So, I tell my team all the time, like maybe it's different for you, but as a leader, I'm only as good as my team. Like my results are your results. So I have no reason not to trust you unless
Right.
you unless you give me a reason not to. And
Mhm.
so
That's good. Yeah.
I believe that yeah, I mean, any relationship, any partnership, I think sometimes we want to create this huge separation between things that feel a certain way personally, that doesn't have anything to do with what I do professionally. But I'm sure if we dig deep enough and you start talking
Mhm.
about partnership, relationship, these are all things that take place, and it takes two people to do that. And just, without trust, it's just not going to happen.
That's really interesting because the picture you just painted for me as I was listening to you was the opposite of what sometimes people think. People come into a new job or relationship and they say the trust has to be built. So you come in and you build the trust as you go on. You actually said the opposite.
That's
You
right.
said, right, you said, I'm going to trust you until you give me a reason not to,
That's right.
as, as opposed to, I'm not going to trust you until you show me that I can. So
Because
that's,
think about it, Tanya. Like and again, I go back to the hiring process, and I think what my experience has shown me, you hire tough and you
hmm
train and develop even harder.
hmm
So if I go through this astringent process of vetting you as a candidate, I got to give you full trust day one because
I
I
like
want
that.
you to be able to hit the ground running and be as successful as possible. If I'm still trying to figure out whether or not I trust you or not, we're going to have some problems, right?
Yes, that's good.
So,
Yeah,
you
I like
know,
that. And
definitely.
I think just people do it differently depending on their style of leadership, maybe,
That's fair.
or how they think. I don't know.
That's
So I'm
fair.
I'm just curious. I have no way of knowing, of course, but I'm curious at how many people actually think that way versus the other way. You know what I mean?
You
Which it
know, and
makes
it,
sense.
yeah, but I guess, and I can't say that's something I knew initially. It definitely
hmm
took time. I think it took experience. It took learning people. And again, I'll be vulnerable, right? Maybe at some point in time earlier on in my career, whether consciously or subconsciously, it was more of a hey, I still got to figure this person out. Can I let
Right.
them do this? What does this look like? And I think over time, I've just found the results that I'm looking to achieve ultimately
hmm
happen a whole lot faster and at a quicker rate by doing it the other way around.
hmm
And
I love it.
too, Tanya, like as we have the conversation, I think back to some of the experiences that I've had. Being in a situation where maybe I was the guy from the outside, maybe I wasn't the person that grew organically within the team, but for
hmm
whatever reason, I was blessed and fortunate enough to be afforded the opportunity to come in to lead, from the outside. And then
hmm
again, as we have this conversation and I really think about it, when you're in that situation and you come from the outside, like you are looking to earn trust as quickly as possible. And so,
Right.
one of the best ways to do it is to give it.
Yes, that's very true. It's very interesting. Thank you. That was good. So, what about the next thing we have down is granting permission and authority? How does that play into this whole scenario?
Yeah, I think uh, I think back to a time that I had took on a new role, and one of the managers that reported to me directly got extremely frustrated with me because every time she would come to me with a question, my response always was, "Okay, if you were me, what would you do?" And I just never forget her responding one day like, "Can you just tell me what to do, please? Like, just tell me what you want me to do." And of course, I could, and then I think that's pretty easy to do. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but as leaders, we're put into a position to not only create impact, but I think we have to look beyond just in the moment. So, I take a step back in answering you because, and I share that example because I have an obligation to train and develop.
Right.
And
Yeah.
again, going back to that astringent hiring process, although in this situation I didn't hire this individual, but you have the role, right?
Right.
So I want to know how you think.
I
I
like
want
that.
to know what your idea is. Your idea might be better than mine, right? Like
Absolutely.
I'm not afraid of that. So when we start giving people permission and giving people authority and
Mm-hmm.
autonomy, it can be very scary. That's why some people don't want to be in leadership, Tanya. They don't want that type of power, if you will.
Right.
But I truly believe if you give someone the permission to take control, if you give someone permission to feel like they can
Mm-hmm.
make the decision themselves, you also start to instill a different level of confidence. You also start to instill a different level of self belief.
Right.
I go back to what I said before.
Yes. I
You
like that.
never know what an individual has had experiences of in life. You, as their manager, you, as their shift leader, you, as their sales executive, you, as whomever, you might be the first person in their life to make them feel like they can do it, and that's not something
Yeah.
that should be taken for granted. And so I think my
Oh,
excitement
yeah.
level has started to do this since we've been talking because it's something I truly believe in my core and I'm very passionate about. There's just no substitute for granting someone permission and giving them authority because that lends itself to the partnership. Like I said, Tanya, we talking about different puzzle pieces that paint this picture that make this thing work. And yeah, there's a lot of power in that. I mean, you have
Mm-hmm.
someone on your team and they come with an idea and it's like, okay, let's do that.
I love it.
Let's do
Yeah.
that. Definitely.
Oh, I love that. Uh, your answer you gave. If you were in my shoes, what would you do? Or what would you do if you were me? I love that
Mhm.
because that's giving a growth opportunity and it's making them think about it. If they hadn't thought about it, instead of always running to somebody, because if you weren't there, what would you do? What would they do? And and like you said, they may have some great ideas that they didn't even know they could come up with because you made them think about it themselves. So I really like that. Um,
And
enhancing the
if I can, Tanya, I'll share this with you. I
absolutely.
remember having a very close knit team, and we ran an operation day to day, and uh, very very intentional. I would pick somebody different on my team every day to say, hey, like if I'm not here tomorrow, I'm counting on you, right? Like the conversations that you and I have, like I just want you to know I'm ready. But if I'm not here, I'm counting on you. I would do it every day. I would pick somebody different. And truthfully, some days when I wasn't present, because everybody felt like, hey, look, I got an obligation and I've been empowered with that obligation. I've been trusted to be able to do this. Everybody's performance will go up a level.
That is awesome because you're showing your belief in them,
There you go.
and I'm sure that made them feel really good. And somebody is counting on me. So that accountability oh, he's counting on me to take care of this if he's not here. So I better
That's
make
right.
sure I get my stuff in order so I can take care of it and
Come
not
on
look
now.
crazy.
Come on now.
Got me looking crazy. So you are prep for it to make sure um, that you can handle the whatever may come. I love that. I love that. So if I'm not here, I'm counting on you, which
Counting
builds
on you.
trust again. So on both parts, you're trusting. I'm trusting this with you is what you're really saying.
That's right.
If I'm not here, I am trusting you to handle this. And then you're also in the same breath saying, and I believe you can do it or I wouldn't be giving it to you. So that what a way to build, to empower them, as we said.
That's right.
Yes. And so the last topic or last, I'll say bullet point we have is common goal focused. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah. Partnership. Like we in this together. You know, I've always said it, and I believe it. Being in leadership, like if anybody on your team, or let's say your team huddled up one day and they just said, "Hey, we're not going in." If they all huddled up and said, "Today is the day we're gonna show Corey like we're not doing this," you can't win that way, right? And
Right.
again, it goes back to that why, and it goes back to what brings you here. Okay, great, Tanya. Now that I know what it is you want to achieve, let me give you and show you some vulnerability. This is what I want to achieve. Let's find where that overlap is. Let's find out where we have synergy in that, because guess what?
Hmm.
This is what the company wants us to achieve. So let's go run after it together. Because as much synergy and commonality we can find and overlap in our goals, it just makes the process so much easier, right?
Hmm.
Because you have a why, I have a why. Neither one of them is bigger than the other. Oh yeah, the company we work for, they have a why. So
Hmm.
where's the overlap? Where's the commonality? And let's just start knocking doors down and knocking goals down together. You know?
I love it. And I think along with that, you don't want people going in different directions. If you, I mean, communication, I guess is what I'm saying is important. So
Certainly.
everybody knows what the common goal is,
That's right.
so they know what they're working toward. And I guess if you don't communicate that, and that's another piece of this. What I'm saying is the building blocks that you have given to empowering your employees. Communication is in here through, I think, interwoven within the fabric of what you've just said.
Communication is the chain to put it all together.
Hmm.
I use the term over communicate a lot,
Okay.
because by over communication, you don't leave any room for something to be misconstrued. You don't leave much room for misunderstanding. And
Yes.
if you
Yes.
over communicate, the moment there is a misunderstanding, both parties are prepared to uncover why, right? Like let's get to the bottom of it as fast as possible so we can get back on track and keep moving in
Hmm.
the same direction. Yeah, you
Yes.
you hit the nail on the head, Tanya. Like none of it happens without communication. And I think every bullet point or topic that we've spoke through today, communication to be the chain. You know what? Here you
Mhm.
go. You said building blocks. I'll jump out there and say communication is the chain to link all of the building blocks together.
Hey, how about that? We got a thing going here. That wasn't even planned, y'all.
Yeah, come on now. Come on. When it's right, it's right.
That's right. And then I'll go a step further and say we don't want to miscommunicate, because that's then you break one of those links and then the blocks come tumbling down. So it's
There you
important
go.
that we get the right communication so they understand what the goal is.
One
Nobody, like
thousand
I said
percent.
before, if we working for different goals, we're not going to have much of a team or much of a partnership if everybody's working in different directions. And I think that's great. And I think that may come from the leader. That needs to be communicated from the leader to just go throughout, like you said, throughout the team.
Attitude reflects leadership.
Yes, I love
Attitude
this.
reflects leadership.
I love this. So I hope everybody got something out of this power of empowering your employees conversation we had. I thought it was great. Great nuggets here for everyone to take home. Is there anything you want to say? Because believe it or not, we're out of time. So is there anything you want to say, Cori, in closing?
I mean, wow, I'm disappointed. We're running up on time because I think I was just starting to get into the
Just
flow.
getting there. Oh,
But no, again, I just want to reiterate, there is no substitute for instilling power in the individuals that you as a leader have been afforded to work with. So if someone happens to be watching now, or someone happens to come across this recording, if you've never heard this before, just know as a leader, you have the power to change someone's life. You have the power to
mm,
impact someone on the day to day. We talk about work life balance. Understand you're being spoken about around the dinner table, whether you like it or not. So, are they saying something positive, or are they saying something negative about you as an individual? And I think that's something that can't be minimized. There's truly power in empowering your employees, and I can only hope that through the conversation I was afforded through Tanya and the team at HR Knowledge Source in this 10th year of pursuit of greatness, that we've been able to make an impact on someone that happens to see this. So thank you all very much.
thank you so much, Cori. This was great. We thank you for your time and sharing your talent and these nuggets of wisdom. We truly appreciate it. And everyone, thank you for watching and listening to the podcast of TRE today. We hope you got something out of it. I say, and I hope you did too. And again, if you need any HR information, and you need help with anything related to HR Knowledge Source is your answer. Please follow us. Hit us up on all our social media platforms. We're out there on everything at HRKS LLC, and we hope to hear from you. We love you. HR Knowledge Source, at HRKS, we know HR. So anything you need, hit us up. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you next time on The Radical Edge of HR. Bye, everybody. Thanks, Cori.